My name is Greg Gerendis. Easy to remember, that rhymes with tremendous. And even though I look like I'm 36, I'm actually 63, but I've had this dyslexia for a long time. So 36, 63, I can never keep those straight. Anybody have a birthday today? Somebody, what's your first name? Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, dear Madeline, happy birthday to you, and many more. And we have a present. How was that? You know, I mention that because next time you have a birthday, nobody said that you have to have them in order. So pick the one that you want next time, and you'll be in better shape. Great idea. Well, that's all I have for you today. It was just a couple ideas. I am the Executive Director at Senior Adult Services. I've been with Senior Adult Services for about 4 years. Before that, I had another agency that dealt with people with developmental disabilities. And in Texas, and some other places, but in Texas that's an important thing because there's a marriage between aging and disability services in most places. So those were the two good things for me. I'm also a Lutheran pastor, so I was ordained in 1982. And as you all know, places you go to church probably are full of people whose hair has gotten just a little bit grayer. So it's been a big part of my ministry over the years to deal with people who are facing the challenges of aging. And so this has always been something very near and dear to me. And I do this with a lot of passion for older adults and people with disabilities as a result of all of that stuff. I also like to play golf, but that has nothing to do with either of the other two things. Most of you are people who have, any of you work a while in your previous life? Did you work most of the time? How many of you are retired? Some of you. How many of you were tired yesterday and you're retired today? No. Most of you worked pretty hard, didn't you? In the service, business. Any of you grow up on a farm? Isn't that hard work? Any of you raise dairy cattle? Man, I've never seen a harder business in my life than somebody raising dairy cattle. But you worked hard all those years. You raised a family, didn't you? One family or two? Now, we've got several people that are our clients who have raised more than one family, where we have grandparents now raising little ones because of the problems in some of the families. So I worked hard, raised a family, and in the process, you have contributed to the very success of the United States of America. So give yourself a hand. Is that not the case? All of that has been part of what has made America is such a great place. And from our perspective, as a result of all of that you've worked so hard, raised families, and been part of the success of this country, you deserve to live independently with dignity and respect. Would you not agree? Now, it's getting harder and harder nowadays to convince people that older adults especially need some consideration about what it takes to live independently. And the dignity and respect factor has slid just a few notches in the minds of so many folks. But do you realize that 70% of the world's wealth is now owned by people 60 and over? 70%. And what I'm suggesting to you is, especially relative to fraud and all the things we're going to talk about today, one of the biggest things that you can do is gather together and join your voice with other people and make sure that people recognize the dignity and respect that you all deserve. And that when it comes to the programs that all these folks in government are talking about and the cuts they're going to do and this, that, and the other, they're just some of these things that you and I don't need to stand for. And the only way that they're going to listen is for us who own the 70% of the world's wealth to band together and make known to them that we're not going to stand for it. Because the less that they pay attention, guess what happens? The more other people are out there who are going to come knocking on your door with some kind of a scheme about what you need to live independently. We had last year an elderly woman in her 80s. Furnace went out, somebody knocked on her door. He was going to sell her an HVAC system for, I think it was $13,500. So of course, not knowing, all by herself, widow, not knowing much about it, she signed the contract. But she happened to call one of my volunteers who does home repair. And there's a 3-day rescission, you know, in this contract signing thing. So he went over there, took a look at what she needed. She ended up spending $6,000 to repair the furnace and the air conditioner, not $13,500. So there are plenty of people, just like us, 60 and over. And there's a huge need level and a growing opportunity, unfortunately, for people to take advantage of providing the services that we so desperately need. So I'm here to tell you this morning that Senior Adult Services is one of the things that you need to be part of. Because we have people that will help you get the right information about what you need in order to prevent people taking advantage of you or you're missing opportunities that you need. There's a gal back there at the table. Margot is there, is the specialist on Medicare, Medicaid, wave back there. She's got information that you need. We do too. Now you've got open enrollment starting October 15th, 15th this year for Medicare. We do that counseling for free. You call my office, you make an appointment, we'll take a look at all of your plans, all of your medications. You know, they change those things every year. Things that are covered, what tier you're on. But we have people that will help you. Last year alone, we were able to help people save $63,000 in better choices that they could make with their coverages. So there is plenty of information out there, and I'm here to tell you that Senior Adult Services is one of the places that you need to start. Because we offer one-stop shopping for people. You know, when you need a service, one of the things that irritates me, I don't know about you, is you call one place and then they say, well, you got to call over here. And then you call over there and you get one of these 8-tiered numbering things, you know, you can't get to a real person on purpose. Yeah. And by the time you get done, you're so frustrated you don't want to even deal with it anymore. So one-stop shopping is what we offer. We have people that will help make sure that one call to us is all you need to make. If we can't help you with what you need, we will direct you to the right people who have the services that you need so that you're not calling all over the territory to find the information you need. Now, we have information, by the way, for people all over the United States because we have seniors who live here and caregivers who live in Florida, New York, or vice versa. And so my information and referral person, Barbara Ball, some of you probably know her, she's been here to speak before. She has a system that's better than 211. Y'all know what 211 is? You know what 911 is, right? You know what 411 is? 211 is the phone number that the Area Agency on Aging, the AAA, set up for information on aging and disability services. That's a good service, and I recommend that you use the phone number. The problem is that it's hard for them to stay current. We stay current. If you need information or referral about services, about people in any part of the country, call my office. We likely have the kind of phone numbers that you need no matter where you live. So we start there, and then we have 3 case managers, 2 of which are bilingual in Spanish, and 1 is bilingual in Hindi. And 45% of our clients are Hispanic. 17% are Asian. So we bring in some people that translate in order to help them. And these are people that have lived in the community for a long time. They need services as well. They may not be as good as they need to be in their English. And language won't be a barrier. So we have case managers. They come to your house. They take a look at where you live. Unfortunately, we find some people who have lived in a home and they have developed an intimate relationship with their UPS driver. Have you seen the TV show on hoarding? Well, it's not a joke. You walk in some of these houses and you can't get in. You find somebody moves a few boxes and there's a cat that died in the house several years ago, and they thought there was a smell back there, but it kind of went away, so they forgot about it. But we take a look at where you live and help make sure that you live in an environment that is healthy. 1 in 3 people over 60 will fall every year. 1 in 3. How many of you walk around the house in your stocking feet? Mm-hmm. Barefoot, there you go. That's probably better. But stocking feet, all you got to do is hit a slick spot, and boom, you're down. I told you I'm a pastor. When I was up in Denton where I had a church, I had a lady that was a member. She weighed, a little short gal, weighed 280 pounds. It was very hard for her to get around. She lived in a little thing that was a 4-plex, so there were 4 units in this thing. She fell in the bathtub. She banged on the door on the wall of the bathroom for 2.5 days before somebody came and helped her get up. Now, you say, well, that's not me. I'm strong, I'm big. But all it takes is a fall where you hit your head or something. You big, strong person are going to find that you're not quite as able to get around as you thought you were. So staying safe is a very important thing. I told you 1 in 3 people will fall. If it's a serious fall, it will cost you $45,000 just for the surgery. Just a second. If you pardon me?
Inside the house or outside? You're talking about cluttered houses. You're talking about a fall in the house?
We're talking about a fall in the house, but we do home repair outside too. And we have lots of groups of people who will come over and take care of the clutter outside your house. Frito-Lay, for example, we have 3 teams of 40 people from Frito-Lay that will come and do 4 or 5 houses at a time, clean up your yard. Thankfully, the city code enforcement people in Farmers Branch, Carrollton, and Carrollton in particular, will call us before they issue a citation for home repair stuff on the outside that's needed. So either way, we'll have to take care of stuff that's going to lead to your falling. We have railings, wheelchair ramps, etc. Yes, ma'am.
The Frito-Lay teams, do they clean out all the crap that's inside? Or just the outside?
Just the outside. Now, what we do with the inside is, if it's something that we really can't handle, we put a call into Adult Protective Services. They come over and they have the resources that it takes to help deal with what's on the inside. So either way, we'll get you some help there.
And that's only in Farmers Branch or?
Farmers Branch, Addison, Carrollton, and Coppell. That's for us. Now, APS will do that all over the state, but through Senior Adult Services, those are the cities we service. And we do that because we have a partnership with the 4 cities. We have about $1 million a year budget. $300,000 a year of that, the 4 cities contribute towards helping provide the services that we offer in those 4 cities. So it's a partnership that works both ways. So 1 in 3 people will fall, $45,000 a fall. 45% of the time, if it's serious, you fall, you go into a rehab facility. 45% of the time, it's very difficult. 20% of those people will die within 8 or 9 months. So your life expectancy goes down very rapidly once you suffer a serious fall. By the way, do you know what the age expectancy is right now? Any of you sell life insurance? Life insurance tables used to be old for men, and for life expectancy for a man was 58, for a woman was 63, and then it went up to 75, 85. You know what it is right now? Baby born today. Wild guess. Take a guess. 121. I just report them. I don't write them. Now, are they going to make it that long? Probably not. Especially with the high percentage of the population that's suffering from diabetes, obesity. They're suggesting that by the time this current population hits age 85, 50%, 50, will have some form of dementia, Alzheimer's. So we're going to have people that may be living longer, may be physically okay, but may be mentally challenged. And by the way, don't be thinking, well, it's going to be okay, I'll just let Medicaid take care of my nursing home costs. It doesn't happen. And by the way, private pay memory care units, do you know what they cost? Silverado is $7,000 a month. So we have some really big challenges on the horizon for us who are in this age range. And I don't think we have established the infrastructure that we need to find the resources for these kinds of situations. But staying healthy, staying safe is a very important part of your being independent. And you know what independence means, don't you? Being able to make the choices you want to make to live the life that you want to live. Not the one that somebody tells you you have to live because you live in some kind of a facility. There are 90,000 residents in nursing homes in the state of Texas. 1,100 nursing homes. 90,000 residents. 60,000 Medicaid beds. Cost the state of Texas in 2009 $2.4 billion, that's with a B, billion dollars. Now, some of those are dollars that could be spent on helping children, doing a lot of other things, but they have to be spent on older adults who can't live independently anymore and needed to live in an institution. Friends, this is why I have such a passion about senior adult services, because we're all about living independently and doing so longer so that you can make the choices that you want to make. We have 3 buses. We're getting ready to add a 4th. And you need to go to the grocery store? Call us. You need to go get your hair done? Call us. That's a big thing for me. We have one guy who's blind and loves to play golf. And he's a member of Brookhaven. So a couple times a week, we take him to Brookhaven. He goes out with a spotter. He plays golf. So when you get older, just because you have some kind of challenge physically, that doesn't mean that your life has to stop. And that's why our services are so vital. It doesn't have to stop. A bus ride will cost you $2 to $5 one way. A meal, a hot meal at noon will cost you $2 to $7. All of the labor for home repairs is free. Can you say that with me? Free. Last year, we provided $240,000 worth of free labor in the 4 cities. Okay? Now, if you have to have grab bar, railing, or a wheelchair ramp, those materials you may have to pay for, but we get those cheaper because we make a pretty good deal with Lowe's and Home Depot. And some companies that we get to help us, like Frito-Lay, will sometimes donate the materials, so sometimes those can be free. But that's why It's important that Senior Adult Services is a not-for-profit agency. We're not in this so that we can figure out a way to mark up the things that you need in order to increase our profit. Obviously, we need a profit. I mean, we've got to stay viable. We've got a budget and a board of directors and stuff like that. But we're not doing these things just to raise money. We're doing these things to meet your needs and to cover our costs. And that's a big difference. 972-242-4464 will put you in touch with all the things that you need from Senior Adult Services. We will loan you wheelchairs, walkers, crutches, canes. We get a certain amount of materials that you need. You know, the one thing you never say to somebody when they're over 60, right? You never say, it depends. But we have depends. We get those donated should you need something like that. And I don't have too many of them with me, but I do have a thing back there. Are you familiar with the thing we call Vials of Life? You write down your medical information, you put it in like a prescription bottle, you put it in the refrigerator. The EMS people know when they come to your house where to look for your information. There's one right there. I have some back here. If you need some, call us. We'll make sure that you get what you need. Yes, ma'am. You put a sticker on your front window, someplace to identify that you have Vials of Life. Or just call me, we'll tell them. No, I'm kidding. Yes, ma'am. That's a really good question, because if you have any good ideas, I'd love to hear about it. Where do we get our funding, she said. City of Farmers Branch kicks in $90,000. Carrollton, $138,000. Coppell, $55,000. And Addison, $17,000. We raise the rest. So we have a golf tournament every year that raised, actually we had two of them last year, that raised about $100,000. And we do everything we can to write grants for the things that we need. Unfortunately, and I don't mean to be negative, unfortunately we used to depend on United Way, but United Way is no longer a friend of either seniors or people with disabilities. They changed their whole model, and it cost me $100,000 in funding. So it's a struggle. Any nonprofit today is really struggling for funds, but older adults in particular. And I'm not trying to sound catty here, but if I paraded 10 little kids in front of you with backpacks, and you needed books or something, and you needed contributions, I'll bet most of you had your checkbooks out, you'd be writing a check to pay for that little backpack. Well, if I put 20 seniors up here in tutus, and we did a little dance, we wouldn't raise a whole lot of money. Well, we might, okay. But that's a great question. It's getting more and more difficult every year. Partnerships with corporations, events, anything that we can do to raise the additional money, we try to do so that we can keep the services going for this area. Yes, ma'am. 972-242-4464 and ask for Barbara. Don't I look like a Barbara? No.
Give that number again, please.
972-242-4464. And I have some cards back here on the table. You can go, Barbara's cards and my cards. We have a copy. How many of you get my newsletter every other month now? Okay. How many of you volunteer at my place on a regular basis? There you go. And we always need volunteers. Last year we had, every year, we have anywhere from 250 to 400 people that volunteer at Senior Adult Services. We have about 30 guys that do the home repair stuff. We have a lot of people that deliver meals. We have any number of people that make visits to people who are all by themselves. I told you, if I didn't tell you, 70% of our clients are widows on their own. So part of my home repair business is we will help you change furnace filters, light bulbs, little things, just to keep you living in your own home. The bottom line is that there is plenty of help out there, especially for people that are at low income. 84% of my clients are at low to extremely low income levels. Now, you and I both know that it is not getting any easier to live on a fixed income. And if you find yourself in a position where you need some help, give us a call. You know, one of the number one problems we face when people need something is they're too embarrassed to call for help. Because they've lived in their home for 30 or 40 years, they didn't ever need a handout, and they're too proud to call for help. Get over it. Because your being able to be independent could be at stake. If you need the help, it's there. No one will make you feel bad about the fact that you needed help.